After two rough losses to end the road trip, the Minnesota Wild get back into the win column against the Los Angeles Kings. We talk about the comeback, we recap both losses, and we look ahead to the week to come. All today on Locked On Wild.
You're Locked On Wild. Your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to another episode of Locked On Wild, your daily Minnesota Wild podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen every day. Just as a reminder, Locked On Wild is free, not a penny. It costs you to listen to Locked On Wild each and every day, and we are available wherever you listen to your podcasts. On today's episode of Locked On Wild, we recap a couple of losses to the Nashville Predators, the St. Louis Blues. We talk about the difference in loss despite both being two different types of games. We also look at how the Wild fell behind 3-0 early on and managed to beat the Los Angeles Kings 6-3. We talk about Kirill Kaprizov on the brink of all sorts of additional history in the Minnesota Wild record books. And we look ahead to yet another tough week for the Wild coming up. My name is Seth Topal, host of Locked On Wild, your veteran captain of Locked On Wild, with plenty of experience covering your favorite Minnesota sports teams through the ups, the downs, the lefts, the rights, any direction. We've covered it all. And happy to be joined by our Monday co-host, a Victory Micheletti Monday with Alex Micheletti. Give him a follow, folks, at Alex Micheletti on Twitter. And Alex, unfortunately for the Mavericks, not able to pick up the big win over the weekend. But hey, Wild rallied from a 3-goal early deficit to kind of salvage last week and come up with a nice quality win against the weird LA Kings. So not a bad weekend, all things considered.
Yeah, that was tough for my Maverick squad to lose in the championship game. I was pretty bummed out, but fun, crazy Wild game. We had fight after a goal. I've never seen that happen. And of course, the usual suspects and Lemieux and Duhaime just duking it out after a weird goal. Too big said is like anybody could have put that in seriously. Fun to after a tough couple games for the Wild to get that win to close out the week.
Yeah, it was a weird game against the Kings. A lot of different things that went just in directions you wouldn't think, and a couple of the goals that got the Wild back into it. Also, a little bit of the odd variety. But I did want to start with that loss to the Predators and the loss as well to the St. Louis Blues. Let's start with the St. Louis game. And obviously, you don't want to blow a 3-1 lead. But it was good to see the Wild get some bounce back and rebound from a very sluggish performance against the Predators. But main thing to pull is that the Wild continue to struggle against the likes of the Nashville Predators, the St. Louis Blues, and the Dallas Stars. It seems like they're all just like cookie cutter copies of each other. And for whatever reason, the Wild just cannot crack that method that those teams use to win their games. And I mean, the Blues now 11-1 in their last 12 against the Wild, and Nashville with similar success. It's puzzling. It's frustrating. I hate it.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at the Blues, they didn't have one of the Wild killers in the lineup too, in Jordan Kyrou, and they still won. That game was crazy. I mean, Robert Thomas, he was Jekyll and Hyde. He gives the pizza up the middle to Kirill that Kirill taps in, and then but then gets the overtime winner against the Wild. That game was interesting. We had to endure the Jordy Ben experience again all weekend, which it was something else. For whatever reason, they don't want Kalen up here. But hopefully Merrill and Dumba get back soon. They need to be in the lineup.
Yeah, and the other thing too, and I'll just add this to the list of things in the Kevin Fiala versus Matt Dumba debate.
Yeah.
Had a friend ask me, well, the games played has got to be pretty close between the two. Kevin Fiala has played in, I believe, now 71 games,
Mm-hmm.
and Matt Dumba has played in 56. And so all the things, and we've talked ad nauseum about, the merits of keeping one player versus the other. Again, Matt Dumba out of the lineup, and not necessarily anything he can do about it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, that has to be something that's factored in. This team doesn't play as well with him out of the lineup, but he also tends to be out of the lineup quite a bit, which is it's got to carry weight in that discussion as we go towards the off season.
100%. Durability matters. And especially with how much money he's made and on this current contract. Do you want to invest in somebody that continues to get hurt and has not only gets hurt but has prolonged injuries?
Yeah.
And especially at that position, it's so critical. We've seen him out of the lineup, how the D looks, and so. But if it comes down to it, between him and Kevin, you're going to want to have that scoring ability in that lineup.
Right.
Look at the goal that the setup he made to Matt Boldy. That was absolutely incredible. And the pass was just perfect for Boldy to rip it, and Peterson had no chance.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at it right now, and Fiala is pegged to playing all 82 games this year. So
right.
It's a talking point for more of the off season, but nonetheless, we've seen this team just in a different kind of. They operate in a different hemisphere with Dumba out of the lineup, but I think a lot of that has to do with who's replacing him in the lineup, which is Mr. Jordy Ben, who I take back everything that I've said about Jordy Ben because he had the you talked about crazy goals. The shot that he had that was probably going to miss the right post, but then Marcus Foligno able to redirect it to the left side of the net. That was a crazy goal. And just the entire game against the Kings itself was just like, I don't even know. You fall behind 3-0, you give up a shorty, you give up a power play goal, and you give up an even strength goal, and you're like, oh my God, this is going to be a disaster. And then Kirill scores, and after that, it just looked like a completely different team. But in previewing it, we talked, the Kings are just a weird team, and so maybe this was always destined to be just a weird game to play against them.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, they just sat on their lead and didn't try to keep it going. And it's a weird team with with their goaltending. They don't really have a set guy. It seems like they rotate every single game. And everybody pegged Peterson to kind of fully take over from Quick, and that still really hasn't happened. He's been super super inconsistent, and they really needed help on their back end, and the only guy that they picked up was Troy Stetcher from who came from Detroit. So that's not the team that you want to pick up guys from, and he hasn't. I haven't really seen him make an impact on that team, and weird game. And every time we play the Kings, it seems to be weird.
And I want to point out the thing that I enjoyed most about the weekends was Michael Russo getting having some fun with the Lemieux from the Kings because he was in the fight with Brandon Duhaime right after the goal.
Mm-hmm.
This is my favorite one. He says, "Beauty shift by Brendan Lemieux takes lazy trip on Kulikov, doesn't touch up to get stoppage, then completely stops playing, then realizes play continues and tries to check Goudreau and goes head on into the glass."
Yeah, not his favorite guy in the world, and not many fans and sports writers favorite guy.
No, he was super heated after the
Right.
fight, and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then you get that great shot of Middleton like watching the fight.
the
He's
smirking.
he's
Yeah,
like, I would like some of this.
yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure Delorier would like to pound him too.
Oh
Yeah,
boy. Yeah, it was a crazy game, but it does bring up some good points. Kirill Kaprizov, I kind of pointed to that being the goal that flipped the switch for the
Mhm.
Wild, but we had some other standout performances. Jacob Middleton continues to be absurdly good, and so we'll talk about him. We'll talk about Kirill. We'll talk about the return of Matt Boldy to the lineup. A lot of layers to peel back. We're March Madness is over, so I guess we're going with the onions with Bill Raftery. We'll peel back more layers of this game as we continue to look ahead. More to come on today's episode of Lockdown Wild after this. Our next partner has a product that I use every single day. I started taking AG1 because, let's be honest, nobody has time to put their vitamin or supplement regimen together in the morning. Get up late like I do. You're flying out the door. You don't have time to take two of these. And so we found Athletic Greens, and their AG1 is so easy to use. With one scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food-sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start the day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. Everything you could want. Plus, it's lifestyle friendly. Whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, or dairy free or gluten free, they've got you covered. Athletic Greens also only costs less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than a run to Starbucks. Plus, Athletic Greens has over 7,000 five-star reviews. And right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. That's all you need. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Continuing today's episode of Lockdown Wild, again, thank you for making Lockdown Wild your first listen each and every day. Should also mention that today's episode of Lockdown Wild is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Kirill Kaprizov is now tied for most goals in a single season by a Minnesota Wild player. He tied Marian Gaborik. He tied Eric Stahl with 42. Alex, we have 11 games left in the season. Is 50 a legitimate? Is there a chance that Kirill gets to 50 goals by the time the season is over?
Yeah, I think he can. The way he's going and the way this team can be on the power play when it's clicking. I definitely think he can get there.
You look at who is left on the schedule.
Yep.
Edmonton on Tuesday.
They give up a lot.
Not great in goal. Not great goalie play. You've also got San Jose.
They give up a ton of goals.
You got Montreal.
That should be a minimum too. We saw what Austin Matthews did to to poor Montreal. I mean, just incredible over the weekend, and now he's got 58, which is crazy.
Unbelievable for Matthews, and I think the stat I saw is that he has 70 goals in his last 82 games. Obviously, it goes back to last season.
That's bonkers. Yeah.
He's on a 70 goal pace.
His shooting, it's incredible.
It's because they're playing the Canadiens so much,
right.
And the Wild also still have Seattle and Arizona on the schedule. So I think that's 20 goals right there in that 5 games. So
I mean, those are some really bad defensive teams. Yeah,
he might get to 60.
That would be fun.
We won't get to 60,
no,
but
it'd be fun to see another hat trick for sure.
100%. That's the one thing that we really haven't had, but I think it's because there's so many other options on this team.
Right.
Is the Kirill Hatties. I would love to see 1 or 2 of those before the season's over.
Yeah, it'd be fun for sure.
Or like 10. The other crazy thing, so the Wild equaled their all-time season high in goals with 263.
Yep.
With the Kings win. 11 games left. So there is an outside chance that this Wild team could get to 300 goals scored. They need 37 in 11 games. So if you average slightly over 3 goals a game.
That'd be insane for sure.
We had the Minnesota Twins get to 300 home runs as a team. Why not have a 300 goal scoring team?
Yeah, no doubt. That would be. Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be great?
We'd have to call it. Because the playoffs are going to be in May. You've got Dongtober. What about Goaltober?
Ooh. You got something there.
Soda stick.
Print the shirts.
I'd have to chat about that one. The other thing, a couple of other things I wanted to get to here before we look ahead to what's coming up. Matt Boldy back in the lineup. Picked up right where he left off, goal and an assist. And I think that's been a huge element that this team has missed, but credit to Tyson Jost for stepping in and filling that void while he was out.
Yeah, he took advantage of being on the second line, and it's a little bit different playing with Kevin Fiala than Nick Delorier. Just a little bit. Jost was a top 10 pick. I think some people forget that. I mean, guy was in the first round in the top 10. He comes with that pedigree for sure. So, good for him that, Boldy, he's such a difference maker. And so thank God he's back. Yeah,
it looked like a team that, had the chemistry of having those 2 lines ready to rock. And it was great to see him back in action. And hopefully we get the other guys back on defense, like you said, because we could definitely use a little boost of John Merrill, because that third line pairing of Alex Goligoski and Jordy Ben.
It's Nightmare City, man. It's Nightmare City.
Yeah,
that can't happen. Can you imagine that occurring in the playoffs?
No, I could not. I'd rather not. Alex, what did you think of Marc-Andre Fleury's performance? Obviously, rough start.
Yep.
But he made some fantastic saves down the stretch in that Kings game, and
Mhm.
looks as though he was able to, I think we can earmark the Nashville game, but I don't think it's one that we have to put up as like a red flag, because it seems like he rebounded, and the team in front of him wasn't doing him any favors early on.
No, and credit to Dean to keep him in the game too. A lot of times you're pulled right after, but he stuck with them, and and Fleury got into the game, got into the flow, and got some rhythm, and stayed with it, and didn't give up another goal after the third one. So credit to him being a veteran, and I'm sure he was extremely frustrated, but he bounced back, and that's what you like to see.
Yeah, 100%. He had a couple of those saves where the puck got between him and the net while he was in the crease, and somehow was able to kind of fall backwards, and just some cat-like reflexes from Mr. Fleury, and we thank him for it now that he's got his new mask job. I'm still trying to figure out what exactly it is on his goalie mask. It looks like some sort of like a panther or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure what. Yeah, and I didn't really hear an interview about it yet, so that's gonna be interesting to try to figure out what the heck was going on there.
I thought maybe it was like a take on the Wilds logo, or maybe it was like a silhouette of Nordy. He should have just gone the Ghostbusters route, like Cam Talbot does.
Right. I love it. Yeah.
One of the two.
Right.
All in all, though, Wild got the win, 6-3 win. They pick up their 44th win on the season, so now just 6 wins shy of the 50 burger, and I can finally exhale, because that tweet that I put out about the Wild trying to get to 50 wins, they were 0-2 since that tweet, and so I was like, okay, this might have actually been a jinx. Well, technically 0-1-1, but still,
right. No
wins. But now that schneid is broken, and there's an opportunity for plenty more wins coming up this week, because there are like 5 games between now and Sunday. Well, 4 technically. So we have a lot to look ahead to. So we will finish today's episode of Locked On Wild looking ahead to this week's schedule. All that and more coming up. But first, Built Bar is here to help you spring into better eating choices. And if you're looking for something to shake up your Built Bar routine, their Puffs are some of Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They are fluffy. They are marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar. They're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. As with other Built Bars, Puffs contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Your average candy bar contains somewhere around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. So if you want to spring into better eating choices, head to Built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15, and you'll get 15% off of your order. Again, use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all of your betting stats and sports info. You can find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's NBA playoffs and the start of the Major League Baseball season. Hockey's push to the playoffs, also a focal point at BetOnline.net. And BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. So don't wait another second. Head to their website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. You can find all of it at BetOnline, where the game starts. Final segment of today's episode of Locked On Wild. Again, thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen every day. Make sure for your second listen, you head over to Locked On Sports Minnesota. and check out the Ron Johnson Show. Ron bringing you sports takes from all Minnesota sports. So make sure to check that out. Locked On Sports Minnesota is free and available wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, big week for the Wilds, and it features some elite teams on the schedule, starting with Edmonton on Tuesday night. And Alex, the last time the Wilds played Edmonton, they throttled the best goalie combination in the NHL. Best, at least, in terms of giving up bad goals.
Yeah.
And so should be a good opportunity for the Wilds to not only get Kirill Kaprizov, the franchise record for goals in a single season, the team record for goals in a single season, and maybe 5 or 6 other things that they could potentially break in that game. I'm feeling a 10 spot against Edmonton. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. But I mean, if Goligoski Ben is out there and they happen to get pinned in with McDavid or Draisaitl, that kind of scares me. It'll be interesting to see if they get Merrill back, but who knows?
I hope so.
Yeah.
After that, we go to Dallas on Thursday. And the Dallas Stars, much like the St. Louis Blues, much like the Nashville Predators, just seem to have the Wild's number somehow. And it's the style that they're all playing is obviously, they're piggybacking off of one particular theme to win all these games against the Wild. But the Stars have been playing well enough to stay somewhat in the playoff picture. But I'm hoping that the Wild have enough in their system to pull off a road upset and potentially dash any playoff hopes for Ryan Suter and the Stars.
Yeah, I mean, they have one of the best lines going in hockey right now, and Jason Robertson, Pavelski, and Rupe Hintz. They had all of them had gigantic nights tonight. They beat the helpless Blackhawks 6-4. I think just that line completely dominated. All had 3+ points. They had a bounce back after their coach called them out when the Devils beat them the day before, and so good bounce back for Dallas. So and they're hanging by a thread there. They're battling out with Vegas, and so it's gonna be interesting because if Vegas makes the playoffs, then people are going to be absolutely furious because then no salary cap and everybody's back to play. Pacioretty, Stone, Riley Smith, you name it. So that's going to be that is going to be a talker for sure if it does occur.
Yeah, especially if they get matched up against like the Avalanche in the first round, which could end up happening.
Right.
After that, then a nice, nifty, easy little back-to-back with another game at St. Louis, that being on Saturday. And then on Sunday, hosting the San Jose Sharks, who will probably have an old friend in net, but not an old friend having a particularly good time with his new team in Kaapo Kähkönen.
Yeah, it's a struggle. He definitely doesn't have the Wild decor behind him anymore. It's a weird team. They have big names back there, and in Brent Burns and Erik Karlsson, Vlasic, and guys that have been in the league for a long time, but their defensive play has just been horrendous, and I don't know that San Jose team used to be a proud franchise, and they've just taken a nosedive when they made the decision to not re-sign Joel Pavelski and decided to give Evander Kane a gigantic contract, and that just crumbled right away. And I don't know why some of those guys wanted to re-sign with San Jose, and a guy like Hurdle. They could have got a lot for him and just decided to give him an 8-year deal, So it's just bizarre. Now their GM, Doug Wilson, just stepped down, and so they're going to be a team in complete rebuild mode, it looks like.
I laughed because I was looking up Capo's stats and I got sidetracked by looking at the team leader for plus minus for the Sharks.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Middleton, who no longer plays with the Sharks, at +3. There is not a single other player on the roster. Okay, take that back. There's one player on the entire roster for the Sharks that is in positive territory for plus minus.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really, 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 really tough. They've got some vets, like I mentioned, and Timo Meyer too, and some guys that have been in the league for a long time. It's tough to see that team because it's like I said, it's a proud franchise, and hopefully they can turn things around. But Capo's gonna have some hard times there for sure.
Yeah, Capo's numbers, by the way, he's 0-3 in 5 games played. I believe one of those came in relief. So he's appeared in 5 games. His goals against average is 4.33, save percentage of 895. And so, like I said, not having a good time with his new team.
Straight up not having a good time.
Yeah, he's not having fun at all. And so, you look at this week, and I think 3-1 is a very realistic possibility. You just got to steal one between St. Louis and you got to steal one between St. Louis and, beyond that, St. Louis and Dallas.
Yeah.
You pick up one of those games, then you go 3-1 most likely, unless something catastrophic happens against Edmonton. And so, another 3-1 week, then you're looking at 6 more points, more importantly. And if you pick up the game against St. Louis, little cushion in the standings. But all in all, should be another fun week for the Wild, a busy week to say the least.
Yeah, very busy week. I can't wait for Tuesday. It's so much. It's always fun watching, Connor McDavid and Draisaitl play. And so really looking forward to that one, and it'll be fun for the home fans to see them. I think this is the first time since pre-pandemic. So, it should be exciting game. I would expect it to be high scoring, just based off goalie play from Edmonton, and so I'm looking forward to this week, and some more, in division opponents, and it'll be a blast.
Some more goals.
Yes, more goals. Let's get Kirill to 50 by the end of the week.
I love that. And that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of Locked on Wild. So now that your first listen of the day is done, again, make sure to head over to the Locked on NHL podcast. Full recaps of all the games throughout the NHL from your favorite Locked on NHL insiders. Locked on NHL is free and available wherever you listen to your podcasts. Just like Locked on Wild, like I said, not a penny. You can listen for free wherever you listen to your podcasts. So make sure to stay up to date with all things Minnesota Wild from your daily source of Minnesota Wild content. Make sure to follow Locked on Wild on social media as well. And keep an eye out for postcasts coming after every Minnesota Wild game the rest of the season on the Locked on Sports Minnesota YouTube channel. Locked on Wild, keeping you up to date on all things Minnesota Wild, with new episodes every Monday through Friday as part of the Locked On Podcast Network.